Hi, hello, welcome to We're Trying, because that's really all we're doing on this beautiful May day. My name is Aurora.
My name is B.
Today,
This is the We're Trying podcast. Sorry, I'm very
change our theme
tired.
song now.
I think that song might be copyrighted, actually.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
the John Cena song.
Absolutely it is. Well, today, B is taking the reins. What are we talking about today, B?
We're talking about witchcraft and witch talk, kind of paganism, spirituality, things like that.
I'm very excited because this fascinates me. I'm not a spiritual person very much, but it's so interesting to me. So I don't know what you have planned. So please take it away.
I have a couple things planned. I also do want to say this podcast is going up the day after my birthday. So I'm expecting all of you to go to our Instagram and send us a voice recording of you telling me happy birthday.
This is manipulation.
But also, it's my birthday.
Everybody wish me a happy birthday.
No, not today. So my roommate goes, today? I was like, no. It's going to be my birthday. So I'm expecting that from everyone. So a couple things that I have planned. We're just going to talk about like my progression in spirituality. Some theories I have about my spirituality, some experiences I've had, and then I want to quiz Aurora.
Oh no. Oh no.
I want to quiz Aurora. I got my favorite book ever, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and some stuff is in my brain. Oh, I should have grabbed my Grimoire. It's fine. And I'm going to quiz Aurora.
I know nothing.
I just want to see how much you know. You know?
Oh God, okay.
This is going to be a fun podcast.
Oh no, I'm scared.
So I guess I'll start with just like talking about my journey of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised Christian, Reformed Christian, went to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always feeling like, I don't know, this doesn't really feel like my thing, but like I just did it because I felt I had to, which I didn't. Really didn't have to, but I just felt like it's what I needed to do. And the idea of spirituality, like crystals, herbs, magic, things like that, always interested me. And I always found them interesting and just intriguing in a way. And so I would always kind of look into it and then just like read all about it and then be like, cool, I'm not going to do that. And then just like go to church, which is like, whatever, that if that works for some people, that works for some people, but it really wasn't working for me. My family stopped going to church for reasons that I won't get into on this podcast. Haha. Hi, Mom. But we stopped going to church, and we were given a lot more freedom. Even as kids, we were given freedom to like try going to different churches, try going and experiencing what different religions were, because our parents didn't want us to be ignorant to the fact that there were religions other than Christianity, which I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I would, look at spirituality and be like, herbs that their energies can do that. Cool. Sky Daddy.
Sky Daddy?
Sky Daddy?
Do you hear me?
That's just, something I would kind of dabble in and then leave because I felt like it's something I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you ever have like family members who were actively practicing witchcraft or who were at least a part of other religions or spiritualities?
Not that I know of. The family members that I do know of that kind of did some stuff that like I do now, they've passed away. So, growing up, I was never aware of that.
Right.
I was never made aware of any of that. yeah, I really don't know if any of them, completely sat down and studied and like did work with this stuff. As far as I know, I'm the first one.
Cool.
I've kind of moved away from any religion for a while. I identified as an atheist. And then for a very short while, I went back to Christianity because, again, I felt like I needed to find a purpose. And people were telling me, oh, this is the thing that I do. And so I was just like, well, I have to do this now. And again, I didn't really want to do it, but I did it because other people were doing it. And I felt like that was what I had to do.
Right.
And the whole time that I'm going to this new church, with this new church that I was going to, was best like Christian church I've ever been to. I'm not gonna lie. It's very modern and they're fully accepting of any and all people, LGBT community. I was openly LGBTQ there, and they all respected it and enjoyed that. And they were happy that I felt like I could be comfortable enough there to share it, which I was.
That's wonderful.
So that church, if any of you guys are watching this, which you probably aren't, thank you for making that a welcoming space for me. It was the first time in my life I didn't hate religion.
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm at this church, I started my first grimoire. I started writing things down and collecting like tiny little bottles of herbs and like different candle colors and using tarot cards and things like that. Like I made my own tarot cards. I wish I still had them.
Oh, that's such a good idea, though.
Yeah, I made them on cue cards because I didn't have the money to afford to buy them, so I made my own deck.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really fun. But like I was, doing that, but I didn't tell anyone. So I think of myself as I've been practicing for many years, just on and off. And this is the first time in my life that I've fully committed to it because I found that this is what I want to do. But when I went to school, I kind of stopped going to church again because one, didn't have time. I just, no time. No, absolutely no time. Sundays were my only day off, and that was my homework day.
Yep. Relatable. Yep.
So I stopped going to church, and I was just kind of like, I'm Christian, ? And I didn't fully commit to, and again, I've had all this knowledge over the years of me doing little bits of research here and there. I knew the basic properties of crystals and basic herbs and like lavender and rosemary and like basil and stuff. I knew that the stuff that I had in like my kitchen. But I never really extended my research beyond that. And then COVID hit. And I, couldn't go anywhere. I was living completely alone at the time. And I started really struggling with my mental health. And I just kind of opened up prayers to not just the Christian God, but to any God. And I was just like, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with my mental health. I feel like I don't have a purpose. And Cernunnos reached out to me. Cernunnos is a Celtic deity, which we'll get into what that is later, but a Celtic deity. He is my patron, which means he has been around my entire life and he will be around for the rest of my life. And in that moment, I kind of knew this is it. And it just kind of clicked in my head of this, I've been wanting to do this for years and I haven't done this. I'm going to do this. Because, I'm an adult now. I live out on my own and whatever. And I was so scared to tell my parents because I thought they were going to be like pissy about it and be like, that's weird. You can't be doing that in the house. But all my family was just like, we figured. Like you moved back into the house and you had tiny jars sealed with wax. You think we didn't know? And I was like, I hid them all in my room. How did you see them? They were like, we helped you move. So funny. And I was like, Yeah, that checks out. That checks
That
out.
makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I decided to stick with my practice when COVID hit. And I've been sticking with it ever since. And it's the most fulfilling I've felt in a religion in a very long time.
Good.
That's my story with religion and such, I guess.
I love that. It's interesting hearing this because I haven't heard, you've never told me like your background in religion before, but we have very, very similar backgrounds in religion. Like I also grew up in a Christian household. Well, two technically, because my parents were divorced. My dad's side of the family was Catholic, and my mom's side was Presbyterian. No, we went to a United Church. I don't know what that means anymore. So I would like go between two churches, and it just got to the point where I was like, this is the same religion, but they have alternating texts that don't line up. I'm gonna take a break. So we took very different routes, but had very, very similar beginnings. That's so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's also like just a testament to how people can come from the same place and be completely different people. Like none of us are exactly like our siblings, but we all have the same,
parents and upbringing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like most of my siblings are like, I'm atheist as hell. Or some of them are like kind of, I guess, religious in a way. But, all of us are kind of, we have different belief systems and different things that fulfill us and make us feel good and like we belong.
Yeah. And before we go any further, I think one thing that I want to tag onto that is that for the longest time, I was like, I'm atheist. But the longer that you and I have been friends and we've talked about witchcraft and spirituality and everything, the more I'm thinking, okay, I don't really think atheist is the right like label. Not that I like labels, but I don't think that's the right label. I think like agnostic is more the root for me because atheist is so much like, oh, there's no such thing, period. But the more like I talk to you and do my own research into other religions and everything, the more it becomes clear that like there is some type of energy out there, be it whatever you want to believe. There is some type of energy out there. You can't deny that. I wanted to put that out there that like everything is valid.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, kind of going back to like what you asked, are you like, do you know of anybody else in your family who practiced? So I was not really aware of anybody, which is part of why I felt shame around it. Of just like, I don't know, feeling like it's something I couldn't do and shouldn't do. But when I told my mom, like, yeah, I practice, things like that, she was just like, oh, your grandma was psychic. And I was like, what? And she was like, oh yeah, like grandma, my mom, yeah, she was psychic. She could literally hold your hand and tell you things about yourself. She predicted every single one of you guys, gender and everything, and how you guys would be like when you were turned into an adult. And everything that she's ever told me has been right.
Wow.
And it was when like my mom first got pregnant, she was just like, oh, you're gonna have 4 kids, but you're gonna be pregnant this many times. And like just my mom was like, yeah, and she used like tarot cards and stuff, and I was like,
so hold on, is psychic a part of paganism and witchcraft?
Not necessarily.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because my great grandmother was psychic, but I have no knowledge of her practicing paganism or witchcraft. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. And there's kind of a belief in like with, or at least in books that I've read, that are like everybody is psychic, but not everybody is a medium.
Oh, yes. That was in
The Psychic Witch.
Yes.
I almost brought that down with me because I was going to kind of go over some of my favorite books.
I have it
but
right there.
I can't find it. I can't find my copy. I don't think I lent it to anybody, but I don't think I did. It's probably just somewhere in the disaster that is my room. I'm going to clean that today.
But anyway, back to your grandmother.
Yeah, my grandmother, she used tarot cards, things like that for Christmas/Yule, because my family did kind of celebrate Yule with me because it was my first time celebrating any of the Sabbats, and I still celebrated Christmas with my family, and like I'd say Merry Christmas, but I would wake up and I'd be like, oh, it's Yule, like because I was away visiting a partner at the time. And I was just texting my mom and I'm like, today's Yule. And she's just like, oh, happy Yule. And my family's like, I don't quite understand it, but like, if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. And it seems like this is making you happy.
And that's such a great way for our families to view everything about us.
Oh, yeah.
But especially like creating your own path and discovering these things about yourself. I love that. I love that for you.
And like explaining, because I told my mom that like I'm gonna call it a wedding, but it's gonna have like parts of a hand fastening ceremony, because I want to jump over a sword. And my mom was like, a sword, and I was like, a sword.
Oh, that's so cool.
I want to jump over a sword after I marry the love of my life. But anyways, for Christmas this past year, I got my first family heirloom, which was a teacup and saucer that I think it was my great-great-grandmother, she used to read tea leaves.
Yeah, you showed me that.
Because in my mom's side of the family, they kind of have this thing of you don't pass things down to people just to pass them down to people. You want to pass it to people that are going to use it.
Absolutely.
And my mom was like, you're the only person that I know in this family that, like in our immediate family, so like 4 kids and 2 parents, things like that. She's like, you're the only person who knows how to use this or would be able to find out how to use this, and it's going to sit in the china cabinet collecting dust. So this is yours. I cried like a baby because it's the first like family heirloom that I've gotten, other than like jewelry from my grandma. But like, it sits on my altar to this day. When sometimes, because going back to psychic medium stuff, I am a medium. Something that I have a funny story explaining that. But sometimes I'll just be making like my coffee in the morning and I just get this feeling, this gut feeling, and I'm like, okay, someone's here. And then I start listening into my senses. And if I smell a certain smell, or if I taste something specifically, I can tell who is there. And there's this specific floral smell that I get when my grandmother is around, on my dad's side. Because every Sunday we used to go over to their house after church and we'd all have tea and coffee. And then I know that I'm just like, I think she wants a drink. So in that teacup, I will put some coffee in there and then I will just sit at my altar and drink my coffee with my grandma.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's some people act like witchcraft is just like, I'm going to curse you and your entire family, but nah, I'm just drinking coffee with my dead grandparents. Like,
I love that. My grandmother who passed away a year and a half ago, so I'm not a medium. I think I have psychic tendencies, but I don't really like check too much into it because it also kind of scares me. But I can feel when she's around me all the time. Like I can always sort of feel when she's around me. I haven't felt it in a while, but like if I had the ability to like absolutely know that it was her, you think I wouldn't be pouring her tea? I would absolutely be pouring her tea because she deserves it.
I always think it's funny because people are like, you do witchcraft? You're going to curse everyone in our entire bloodline. And it's like, I'm actually just sitting in my room and having coffee with grandma. And just like staring at a candle and be like, when are you going to work? Like that's shit I do. Or just like telling plants I love them. I don't own any plants. But like that's basically what it is.
I love that. I love that. And that, I think to me, that's why witchcraft is so interesting to me, is because it's a practice based solely around love, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I'm not saying that all magic is love and light or all magic should be love and light, because it's like yin and yang. There can't be good without bad and there can't be bad without good. So no matter what you do, some things are going to be bad, some things are going to be good. And that's just something you have to accept. And also, if you tell me not to curse abusers, I'm going to do it anyways. Like, I'm not just going to curse somebody because they cut me off as I was driving my car. I'm not going to jinx them. I'm not going to hex them. I'm not going to curse them if they just like cut me off. But if, you know, someone who I know is an abuser, I'm going to bind them. So any damage or hurt that they cause to others or themselves, because it goes both ways, more bad luck will come their way.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. But I'm not going to do that to people who don't deserve it. Because I've had friends be like, curse this person for me. And I'm like, what did they do? They're like, ghosted me. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If they were actually mean to you, I'll give them a timeout in the freezer. But like, I'm not going to curse someone because they ghosted you. If I did that for every person that ghosted me, there'd be a lot of people in my freezer right now. Not like they're, oh, that sounded really bad. Not like their bodies, but like, there's a spell that you can do to freeze, and it takes putting their name on a thing and then like a couple other things that I'm not going to share because I don't want y'all being able to break my spells. But you just put them in the freezer and it gives them like a timeout.
That's funny.
So I don't mean there's people in my freezer, but there's people in my freezer. Not actually at this house, though, I will say. I haven't needed to give anyone a timeout in a while.
That's good. Well, for now.
For now. Maybe that's why people are like, witches are crazy, is this smile. But yeah, that's kind of the gist about my family and spirituality. My dad's side, nothing like this. They're all Christian, raised Christian, identify as Christian,
Mm-hmm.
pray to the Christian God. I do not.
Well, here's a weird question. Could the Christian God be a deity?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I have friends who identify as Christian witches. Some of their deities are the Christian God as well as Jesus, and she also works with Aphrodite.
Interesting. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, the reason I like witchcraft and paganism is because it's not like you can only do one thing. There are many paths, and it's not a closed religion. I believe Wicca is, but paganism is not. Something I'd recommend anybody who is starting their journey in witchcraft paganism, research closed practices, learn what you can and can't do, learn things that you can and can't use.
What's the difference between paganism and Wiccan?
Wiccan requires like an initiation.
Oh, okay.
Into it. Paganism really can be referred to as any religion that isn't like Christian or Catholic.
Interesting. Okay.
So I prefer saying that I'm a pagan witch, but there's so many paths within paganism. I have friends who are Christian witches, friends who they don't work with any gods, but they still work with the elements. There are some friends I have a friend who works with like dragons and like she's a death witch. And then I have another friend, Bees. He is a death witch.
What is a death witch?
They work often with deities and things that have to do with death, usually mediums. So in the beginning, I stuck with paganism and I was just like, I am a pagan, the end. And then after a couple months, because I never felt the need to put a label on my practice, but I guess the best way to describe my practice was eclectic. I took bits from kitchen witchery. I did some green witchery stuff, like watering flowers outside my house. Crystal witchery. Like I took things from like kind of all of these different paths because I don't like being tied down to one thing. And since I found out that Cunningham is my patron, I've been kind of turning my practice towards Celtic witchcraft, which is part of the reason why I wear a claddagh, because this is to honor my Irish heritage as well as Cunningham.
Oh, good. I love that.
So again, my path might change in like 3 days. Who knows? I am kind of taking a bit of a spiritual break right now just because I've been so overwhelmed recently that I'm like, yeah, sometimes you got to take a step back.
Absolutely.
But yeah, my path has changed. It will continue to change. And I think that's the most appealing thing to me about paganism.
Well, now, I do have a question about patrons.
Mm-hmm.
So you said Krenanos has been with you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Does every single person then have a patron?
I believe everybody does in a sense, whether that be the Christian God, the Catholic God, like I'm not sure of all religions, so I don't want to list some off and be wrong. Everybody has a God that will stay in their life, or an energy that will stay in their life forever, no matter who it is. Mine just happens to be a Celtic God.
Cool, cool. How did you know that it was Krenanos?
So I did I'm reaching out to literally anyone and everyone, anything, any energies. What am I supposed to do? And a blue jay came and would sit on my back porch every day. And I would just watch it through the window and just be like, I'm really drawn to this. Really drawn. But I didn't think anything of it. I recognized that Hades and Persephone were reaching out to me before I realized that Krenanos was reaching out to me, because at the time I wasn't aware of Celtic deities. I thought it was Greek gods and that's it, which is not the case. Now I work with 3 different pantheons. But I was just I feel really drawn to that blue jay. Don't know what that is. And then when I moved back in with my parents, I was working with Hades and Persephone at the time. And I couldn't sleep one night. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up why I keep seeing blue jays. Because even after I moved to my parents, I kept seeing them. And I was like, okay, that has to mean something. And then after about an hour and a half of research, the name Krenanos came up. And I was like, Krenanos. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of information about Krenanos, because a lot of his stories and mythologies and stuff were just lost in time. But yeah, I was just like, oh. And I, worked with some deities. I worship some deities. Right now, I work and worship with 3. But through all of it, Krenanos stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay. And I was always afraid to be like, hey, are you like my patron? Because if I got a no, then it was like, oh, so you're going to leave at some point, which I just wasn't ready to hear. Then one day I just had a gut feeling to ask. So I got my pendulum board and my pendulum, and I held it over, and I just Krenanos, are you present? Big yes. And then I ask questions to make sure that it is Krenanos. Like, are you an Egyptian god? Big no, things like that, just to make sure that I know who I'm talking to. Mm-hmm. And I asked, are you my patron? And immediately a big yes. And then, are you going to be with me for the rest of my life? With another big yes. And just cried. Because I was like, I found one of my patrons, And you can have more than one patron or patroness. But right now, the only one that I'm aware of is Krenanos.
It's like having, this is going to be weird, but it sounds like having a life partner, someone who's always going to be there for you. And I love that, because we get lonely, and knowing that somebody is there, that must be very nice.
Oh yeah, it's very comforting when times that I'm feeling really alone, especially because I don't live with friends anymore. It's nice to know that there is something there that's watching over me. There is someone that is there, a divine being who cares about me, that is there for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Something I did want to talk a little bit about is witch talk.
Yeah, let's do it.
So for those who aren't aware, you probably have listened to the TikTok episode. I said I kind of got my start on TikTok through posting stuff on witch talk. And that's where I got my first 5,000 followers from, was all just from posting witch content. Some educational stuff, not really. I don't really like teaching through TikTok, especially witchcraft, because I feel like then I'm shoving information down people's throats. Mm-hmm. And I believe that part of the journey in witchcraft is researching on your own and forming your own opinions rather than taking opinions from other people.
Absolutely.
But I would post on there, and in the 6 months, a little bit longer than 6 months, since March, that I was posting and a big part of Witch Talk, so much happened. And it's weird. And I just want to talk about some stuff that's happened.
Okay.
So some of the first drama that was ever there was, I guess this isn't really drama, but something big that happened was Witches for Black Lives Matter, which is good. A lot of witches, there was a full moon soon after George Floyd was murdered.
Which was a year ago today.
Yeah, it was a year ago today.
Which is crazy.
Thank every god in the entire world that Derek Chauvin is in jail. Us, witches, a lot of us, most of us, I will say, we used that time after we found out. There was a full moon soon after everything had happened and the protests started. I'm not calling them riots because they were protests.
They were protests.
And we all decided that on the full moon, the days leading up to the full moon, the days after, we were going to do spells to protect the safety of people of color, people in minorities, as well as all the protesters. I stayed up until 4 a.m. just doing spell work for as many people as I could think of. That was actually the same day that I went to a protest myself. But that was a big thing that happened, and a lot of Republican TikTok was bashing us for that and making fun of us, and we're okay, give me a fingernail then. If you're not afraid of what I can do, give me some of your DNA. Oh, you don't want to? Oh, you're scared. Fuck Donald Trump. Anyways, I love what we've gotten to. But after that, there was a big white sage debate, which is simple as this is in their traditions. No, if you are not native, you cannot use white sage. Simple as that. And there was this whole discourse about that, and we were just don't use it. It's not difficult to not use a plant. There's so many other strains of sage other than white sage. There's blue sage. Use juniper. Juniper is way better than sage, in my opinion, and cedar. Cedar is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's my favorite way to smoke cleanse my house. But there was that. And then there was a cult.
Oh yeah, you were talking about this briefly the other day.
Yeah, there was a TikTok witch cult, mostly by people who didn't realize that they were getting pulled into a cult. Because this older person, she was just oh, you feel like witch talk is pushing you away? Oh, come be with me. Let's make our own little group of a safe space for us. And they were yeah, I want that. It was people of gender minorities. It was people of racial minorities that she drew in. She was a white woman and brought these people in together and would force them to do certain spells, would threaten to hurt them. And one by one, each person left. And then when all of them left and they realized it was safe, they started speaking out about it. Her username at the time was Athena Grace. She's since changed it, and I believe created a new account because she doesn't want people to know that she made a cult and was trying to actually hurt people. But that was a big thing for a while that I was there was a cult.
That's wild.
There was a cult. What? And it was a time where people were I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah, I've had issues with this other person who posted on Witch Talk in the past, but they were a part of this group and they were being hurt. At this time, I'm reaching out to them and being hey, what can I do for you? Are you okay? You don't deserve this. So while that was a wild thing, it did create more people, I guess, coming together in a sense. Currently, there's a lot of stuff going around about white sage again, and I'm no, you can't use white sage. There's been people that are hello, my name is Hades. And it's first of all, no, you're not Hades. They're I am the Greek king of the underworld, Hades. And it's no, you're not. So there's that. Or like children that know nothing about witchcraft being like, I want to fuck my deity. And it's like, no,
Pardon?
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. There are like kids that are like, yeah, Hades said that he was going to leave Persephone for me. And I'm like, first of all, no, he would not.
No,
Second of all, you're probably dealing with a succubus.
oh, you can do a succubus?
Do you know what a succubus is?
Yes, I've seen the TV show Lost Girl. I know what a succubus is.
But yeah, you're probably dealing with a succubus. It's not actually Hades, or it's not Poseidon or Zeus.
I didn't know that they're like succubus were real.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
There's just so much stuff. Or when baby witches decided to hex the moon.
I heard about that. I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it.
That was the weirdest time. Because I worked with Artemis at the time. And she was like, it did nothing, but also, what the fuck, basically? I mean, not like that. She's a divine being. And
Yeah.
But it was basically just like it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. But also, what the fuck?
What did the moon ever do to you?
Or they're like, we're gonna hex the Fae. And I'm like, have fun.
That sounds like the end of the, like if you're trying to hex the, that sounds like the end of the world.
Yes, and I have been learning a lot about fair folks. Like I said, I am kind of turning my path towards Celtic witchcraft and Celtic mythology, fair folk.
Yeah. And like what I know of the Fae and fair folk from like my Celtic background is they're mischievous. So like if you start trying to hex them,
you're done.
Apocalypse now.
Or people just being like, yeah, I hex the moon and then we're going to hex the sun next. Oh, I hex the sun. I'm going to hex Zeus. And all of us are just like, do it then.
What do you get out of that?
Nothing. You literally get nothing. And some people were blowing it way out of proportion and being like, we must hex all these people that hexed the moon. And I'm like, no, we sit back with popcorn and we laugh. But yeah, there's always a lot of stuff on Witch Talk that just makes you go, who the fuck came up with this?
You know, it's because I have ended up like with lots of Witch Talk videos on my For You page. And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't know what I believe anymore. Like the amount of people who are like, this video has gotten to you because it's meant for you. And I'm like, this is an algorithm. Are you going to like, that doesn't feel truthful. But then at the same time, sometimes I'm like, oh, but the cards. And then you look at the cards and you're like, those
are vague.
How do you make out that card, you know?
Those things, I will always say, never do any research on TikTok. If you want like funny comedy stuff, yeah, cool. But you're better off going to YouTube to learn. Some people on TikTok that I am like, yeah, go to them for witch stuff because what they say is actually like legit. Chaotic Witch Aunt, Frankie, they are awesome. Lunar Moon Witch, Neo, she's actually a friend of mine. We're mutuals on TikTok. She's awesome. The Green Witch Mac, awesome. If you want really good witchy comedy stuff, Spell Bottles and Chill. Andraste, again, friends. We are like great friends. I die laughing at all of her posts. Oh, also Willow Stars. They post not only witchcraft stuff, but also information about being a Native person and,
awesome.
you know, appropriation within paganism. And I think that's really important. But yeah, Witch Talk is a wild place.
Yeah.
Sometimes something will show up on my For You page that's like Witch Talk, and I'm like, so that's what y'all been up to. There's a guy right now that says that he's learned to bend the elements. And we're like, okay, Avatar. Everybody is just like,
Aang.
Okay, Aang.
Once you start learning how to bend blood, then I'll believe you.
Yeah, once you can do that, I'll believe you. But until then, no. But it's so funny to me. He's like, I've spent many years mastering the elements. And I'm like, literally, shut up. Like, shut up right now. Shut your mouth.
Has he been to the Southern Air Temple?
He's like, I have a piece of each element. And I'm like, you have probably a cup of water, a rock, fucking
Infinity Stones.
That's going around and everyone's just like, hey, man, awesome, great video. You're cool, but shut the fuck up.
Well, here's my question about Witch Talk, because Witch Talk has really blown up in like that I've seen in like the last year, I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Is it blowing, like, is it suddenly like blowing up because it's just like started showing up on For You pages and people are taking advantage of that. People are like,
think
oh, this is
so.
popular, even though
I
it's
think so.
a practice.
But I also think it's good that more people are seeing it now, because
Definitely.
if I wouldn't have seen those videos on my For You page, I wouldn't have ever known that it was okay for me to be something other than Christian.
Yeah, that's fair.
The people, like again, Frankie, they really showed me that even if you grow up Catholic or Christian because they grew up Catholic, it's okay to still, identify as a witch. And, even go to folk magic, which has to do with a lot of, Catholic religious entities. Is that the right word for Catholicism? I don't think so, but like she uses, a rosary in their work. They use like a symbol of, I believe, Mother Mary, as it's consecrated for Diana, who they work with. Yeah, that was one person that really showed me that there's more than just being one thing. And it's okay to change and adapt your practice. It doesn't always need to be one thing. And they also have Chaotic Witch Aunt. You can find them on YouTube. Highly recommend. They do great videos, very informative. You can always rely on them to fact check. They always recommend really good books to read. Ooh, I have another funny story.
Ooh, okay, go.
I didn't know this until my mom told me, but I believe my second cousin on my mom's side, so my mom's first cousin, practices. And this is how I found out I was a medium. We just like talk, because I was just like, hi, my mom is April, but like I thought I'd reach out and just be like, hey, we kind of do the same things, and there's really nobody else in the family who does this. And so I think it would be nice to just have somebody close to me that I know does this as well. And we like had a couple conversations. I went and visited her shop, the Dreaming Tree in Essex. Go check it out. I'm not being sponsored to say this. I just really love my cousin's shop. Even for Christmas, my mom got me a whole gift basket of stuff from her shop. Yeah.
Oh.
My mom was like, I want like a gift basket to be related around like self-care and relaxation, anti-anxiety. Here's the amount of money. Fill her up.
That's so nice.
Yeah, it was so sweet. But just sitting talking with her, whatever, and I was talking about like psychic stuff, and she goes, "Oh yeah, you're psychic. You're a medium too." And I was like, "What? No, I'm not." She goes, "You're a medium." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not a medium." She's like, "I'm a medium. You're a medium." And I was like, "I don't think I am." She's like, "You're really sensitive to people's energies." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "And you're sensitive to the energies of your deities." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "And you can feel when deceased relatives are around." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "So you're a medium?" I was like, "No, I'm not." And then she's like, "You know what? Have you ever heard of Matt Aron?" And I was like, duh, I love Matt Aron. And she was like, "You should get this book, The Psychic Witch, and I want you to read it before you come and visit me next." I was like, "Okay, all right." I read it. And then a couple days later on Facebook, she messages me and she goes, "Did you read the book?" And I was like, "I'm a medium." And that is how I discovered I was a medium, because she was like, "These things are like whatever." And I've, developed my clairs, which is what they say in The Psychic Witch by Matt Aron. Again, not sponsored by Matt Aron, but Matt
Should
Aron,
be.
sponsor me, please. I love your books. Your books are amazing and so well researched. But yeah, that's how I discovered I was a medium. I now, I haven't posted them in my shop because I'm kind of, again, taking a break from shop stuff because I've been mentally overwhelmed. But once in a while, I'll do like medium readings for people. I've never charged for them because I feel bad, if I'm talking to somebody who has a deceased relative and then making them pay to talk to them. I just don't like the idea of that.
That's fair.
That's just a funny story. I have a fun party trick where I can hold your hands when I'm a little tipsy. Hold your hand, and I just tell you things about yourself, and I can read your aura.
See, I can't wait to see you again because I really want that.
Your aura is probably red, full of passion, and red is your color.
Red is my color.
Again, I can't really tell because I'm looking at you through a laptop screen.
Yeah.
I accidentally found out I was able to read auras through an acting class with Heather Davies, where we were doing energy work, and we had to close our eyes. And I opened my eyes, and I could see everyone's auras, and I was like,
Auras are like when you sort of see like a color around somebody, right?
kind of.
Okay. Because I can sometimes see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always just like, it's my eyes messing with me. But like, if it's not, and I'm just like, just as cool as you, I'll take it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's how I discovered I could do that. And I got tipsy at a party once. It's just like a few of us. And AJ told everyone about my party trick. So people were like, oh, do me. And this one person, I held her hand and I started listening off a bunch of things that I was just like seeing in my mind's eye. And the entire time she's like just staring at me. And then I was like, okay, and your aura colors this. And I let go. And she goes, how did you know that? Like, did you talk to anyone? And I was like, no. She was like, I haven't even told my roommates about that. The only people that know about what you just said are me and my partner. And I was just like, I mean, that's just what I saw. And everyone was like, me next. Do me next. That is me next. And everyone was just like, what is happening? I like read people's tarot cards all while I was tipsy. It was amazing.
I love tarot. Like, if there's anything that I like really attach to from witchcraft, it's tarot. I don't do it very often anymore, but like, it's just so cool to me. That's all. That's it.
I love when we'll be like on Zoom calls with many, many people. And all of a sudden I just pull out the tarot cards.
Oh,
and I read people's tarot cards through Zoom, usually drunk.
I love it. I really loved that one time you were drunk and you were like, medium time. And I was like, go.
I was like, it's medium time.
That honestly, I keep waiting for that to repeat because that was so cool. I am fascinated by mediumship. Fascinated.
It's a lot. It's difficult being a medium, and that's part of the reason why I didn't want to admit that I was a medium. Because every single time that I do a meeting with somebody and do a reading for them, afterwards I feel so much.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There was one reading that I did for somebody recently, and as soon as I got off the call with them, I could not function for the rest of my day. I couldn't, because I feel a lot. And there's even times after that, once the spirit of somebody knows that they can come to me to relay messages, often they will come back a couple times and be like, I need you to tell them this. I need you to tell them this, which is why I liked The Psychic Witch by Matt Aron, because he uses a theory of like dialing up or like having something that shows that you're willing to receive messages, something that you're not. Mine is a hematite ring. I put it on when I'm willing to receive messages, but if I'm not wearing it, I'm not willing to receive messages. And then entities know now's not the time. But it's a lot, and being an empath on top of it, I feel the emotions of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that even counts for those who are deceased. I know people will like make it out to be glamorous and like, oh, I can talk to the other side, but like sometimes you're just like, I would like to not, have to know all this information and just be like, how do I explain this? I've never like talked about this before. This is the first time I'm being like fully open about this, but that's why I don't do medium readings often. I told myself I'll do like one a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even get like asked to do readings that often. But like, it's so difficult, especially because I'm also not in therapy right now. I should go to therapy, and go to therapy and be like, hi, I'm a medium. Help me. But yeah, it's a lot. It's very interesting. And it sometimes If it's just like, oh, I'm feeling an entity around, oh, this person's around, it's grandma who wants coffee with me, then it's like fun and nice.
Yeah.
But, if it's an entity coming to me and, I live in 100-year-old house, somebody who died in the house coming to me and, saying that they didn't die a great death, that's difficult. So we're going to go visiting Aurora now.
Yes.
So the book that I'm going to be going off of, I'm just going to quiz you on like certain witchcraft items as well as herbs.
God. Okay.
So the book that I'm using for herbs is Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Highly recommend this book. Highly recommend this author. They are very well researched. They have a good bibliography. It's very, very well researched, and I highly recommend. I believe the bibliography is like 5 or 6 pages long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-page long bibliography, which is, I always like when there's a big bibliography, and a lot of the authors in the bibliography are very good. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to open up to a random page.
God.
Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to basically choose one of the herbs that's on the page and then ask some questions about it.
Okay.
So we're going to start with poppy. I'll go over some information. So folk names are blind buff, blind eyes, headaches, and head walk. The gender of it is feminine, which means it has a softer energy rather than a strengthening energy. It's with the moon, its element is water, and Demeter and Hypnos are deities that are associated with it. What do you think are some of the powers and energies that poppy has?
Okay, here's the thing. When I think of poppies, I immediately think of like Remembrance Day. So you saying that it's softer has shocked me a little bit. But because it's related to Remembrance Day and because you said it's softer, like its energies and its powers, I get like healing energies, especially because it comes with water.
Okay.
But I'm also like feeling like it's not necessarily like, it's more like energy healing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I'm
checks
getting.
out. So the powers are fertility, love, sleep, money, luck, and invisibility.
Sleep makes sense. Invisibility.
More I think of invisibility of like, not like the invisible cloak from Harry Potter, but more like, removing something from somebody's memory or making it so like,
Okay.
if you want to hide something in your room, enchanting it with invisibility so like somebody's not going to find it. But like it's
Gotcha.
still there. You're still going to be able to see it. It's just harder for people to find it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're going to look at fern now. Note in this, some ferns are poison. So the gender of this plant is masculine, which means it's a stronger energy, more like straight to the point. Planet is Mercury. Element is air. Deities are Laka and Puck. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. I don't work with all of these deities. What are some of the powers you think it has?
Everything that you said, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because whenever I think of fern, I think of like branches, like sharp branches. Something relating to health. Something related, I don't know why, but that's coming into my head. And then something related to like protection or shielding.
So you're actually right with both of those. So powers are rainmaking, protection, luck, riches, eternal youth, health, and exorcism.
Exorcism!
We're going to look at lobelia.
I have no idea what that is.
Neither do I. So folk names are asthma weed, bladderpod, gag root, Indian tobacco, pukeweed.
Oh, okay.
Gender is feminine. Planet is Saturn. Element water. What do you think there's only 2 powers that are in this book. Not saying that there's more that this plant could do, but what do you think the 2 in this book are?
I immediately associate that one with First Nations practices, which leads me to think that it has something to do with healing or spirituality.
Okay. So powers are halting storms and love.
Oh, so not at all what I was thinking. Okay.
What you're saying makes sense, though. We're going to look at sage.
Ooh, sage.
So folk names are garden sage, red sage, sage, Sawge. Don't know how to pronounce that. Gender is masculine, planet Jupiter, element air. What are some powers you think it has?
Sage is a cleansing thing. So again, I think protection, health, goodwill, something to do with relationships. I'm getting that vibe right now. I don't know why. Not romantic relationships, though.
I guess with the health, immortality, because there's a saying of, he who would live for A must eat sage in May.
Oh,
Which is that saying.
Interesting.
Longevity, wisdom, protection, and wishes.
Okay.
Yarrow. There's so many folk names, some common ones: arrowroot, deathflower, devil's nettle, lady's mantle, military herb, old man's mustard, things like that. Gender is feminine, planet Venus, element water. What do you think some powers are?
I think it has to do with death in some sense, just because of the names that you listed there. But I'm also getting like prosperity vibes in my head. So not like a negative connotation related to death, if that makes sense.
Okay. The ones listed here are courage, love, psychic powers, and exorcism. So you're right with exorcism. Last one is catnip. Folk names are cat, catmint, catnep, catrup, catswort, field bomb, nepeta, and nip. So gender is feminine, planet Venus, element water, deities is Bast. What powers do you think are associated with it?
So I used to have a cat, and while catnip is often deemed as like cat marijuana, where it like chills the cat out, my cat would actually get more energetic on it. So I get the vibe that it has to do with like calming and everything, but also with like productivity and energy and something like that.
So the things that are listed here are cat magic, love, beauty, and happiness.
Cat magic?
Yeah. Given to your cat, catnip creates a psychic bond between the two of you.
Interesting.
So that is all from Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Scott Cunningham. Highly recommend any of Scott Cunningham's books. I need to buy more. But yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's so cool. It's so fascinating.
This was a fun conversation.
I love that you are so open to sharing all of this as well.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff that I won't share, like exact recipes for my spells, because I do make most of my own spells.
Mm-hmm.
But most things I am willing to share, just not everything. Like if you see a sigil, I might not tell you what the sigil is for.
Yeah, because sigils are a very personal thing.
Yeah, especially mine. To me, there are some that people are okay with sharing, but with mine, there are some that I'm okay with people knowing what they are, and others I'm like, I think this one's just for me. Most of my protection sigils, I don't tell people what they're for or what exactly they mean.
Of course.
Wow.
This has been very cool. Thanks, my friend.
I'll be expecting audio messages from every single one of you telling me happy birthday.
What are we going to try this week?
Lighting my deity candles, because I haven't done that in like a week.
What should I try? Because this is your topic. What do you think I should try?
Ooh, I think you should try making yourself some sigils.
Okay.
Make yourself some. Yeah, it's super easy to make sigils. I can literally teach you.
I've seen like videos on how it's done, but I'll need to like refresh my head.
Yeah, make yourself like a sigil to put like in the back of your phone.
That's a good idea.
For like protection or something. You can make a sigil to keep in your wallet to bring in money.
Ooh, oh, I need that.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely try making some sigils. That is a very base way of starting doing any magic, which is literally sigils can't backfire.
I love that.
So they're always the best place to start.
I'm going to learn to make sigils. Well, thanks, friend. And thanks, friends, for listening. I hope you learned something or enjoyed yourself or laughed or all of the above. Be sure to leave a voice memo. The link is in our Instagram bio at We're Trying Pod. Say happy birthday to B or say B, stop telling me what to do. That's what I'll say. And I guess that's it. Yay. Have a good week, my friends. We'll see you next week.
Good week.
Yay.
Do, 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 do.